Market update here on the 5th. Going to start off here with Tesla, which is up big pre-market. I still think that this is more than likely a W wave, so ABC, and then this is ABC, and we're currently about to finish off the A wave of an ABC move. But I am going to entertain, just because it's smart to do this, that this is a 5-wave move. And the way that this would be a 5-wave move is on that crash on the 5th of August, a month ago, every stock went down so ferociously and then bounced back that I think normally we would have seen one more low, but I think we probably got a truncated move here, which means that we did not complete a 5th wave. So if you start the parallel line from the bottom here instead of the actual bottom, this would actually be where the next set of waves started from. So, show you what I'm talking about. If I do it from the bottom here, it's going to come, the parallel line is going to be out in here. If I do it from right here, you can see here we cross right about there, we pull back, and then we get some kind of 5th wave potentially. So this could easily be a 3rd wave, 4th wave, and 5th wave. It just is very sideways. So to sum it all up, I'm putting this as W or 1. And then of course this one was pretty easy to read. This was obviously, this is very clearly WXY move, ABC, or no, actually ABC, I'm sorry. ABC down here, so it's X or 2, it pulled back to the 0.5 fib. That's about the minimum you'd want to see a pullback on either a 2nd wave or an X wave. Hit the 0.5 fib. And then now, I thought this was going to be a WXY move, but it's looking like it could actually be an impulse move. So I was expecting a drop today based on this, but we head up here based on them saying they're going to release FSD, I think in Germany. And so this is up big pre-market. So what could this potentially be? If it's a 5-wave move, then I'm looking at it like this. 1, 2, and then this is probably a nested move right here. So 1, and I'll keep this as a possibility of WXY. 1, 2. And then this would be a 3rd wave. So if this is a 3rd wave, then I would want to see it break above this parallel line. Right now, pre-market, we are right around that parallel line. So this would end up being a 3rd wave, and I actually want to see it get all the way to about 229. And then that would be the overall, the 3rd wave of the 3rd wave. Pull back to 224.50. This helps me out too, so this is why I like doing these videos as well. And then I'd be looking for a 5th wave to be the length of this. I'd be looking at potentially something around 240. So it would hit into supply, pull out of it, and then break through it. So 240 would be where we see the 3rd wave of the 3rd wave. And then we would look for a 4th wave pullback, 231. And then one more move higher to, let's see how high. $245. So at some point, this would have to be a bigger move because 245 is not going to get us above this parallel line. That's why I say I'm leaning towards it being an ABC, because even my projections only say 245 for 5 waves if it were to happen. But it's always possible that you could get a extension or a bigger move on one of the waves. So the minimum I want to see, the 1.61 fib for this to be a 5-wave move, is 261. That's the 1.61 fib. So I'd want to see 261 for a third wave. And right now, projections do not show that. So I think that this is more than likely going to end up being ABC up here to 245, like I've been saying all along. So that means that this is something else, more than likely. I'm going to keep this up here just in case, but more than likely, this is some kind of ABC move. This could be WX. And the Y wave could be up here at 231. Because then that turns this into the 1.61 fib up here at 250. So it'd be similar to this. It would end up being 231, pullback, 250. And I've been showing this pretty much the whole time, expecting that to happen. So potentially 253 all the way on the 13th of September. That doesn't make very much sense. 8 days. Could, I guess. Or it's going to finish off sometime in the middle around like September 20th. So those are the 2 counts I have. We'll see which one hits. But you have supply right here at 226 to 234. So I expect something up in this range, whether it ends up being an impulse move or if it ends up being ABC. So those are the 2 counts I have. I think at this point, coming back down here is probably out of the picture. You do have a gap at 201 that never got filled, but there's also a gap at 245. So Tesla looking good. Watch out for 226 to 234. I think this is probably a sell between 226 and 230. Either way, 231. Either way, it's probably going to come back out of here. This is a daily supply zone right here. So that's where you want to be selling if you're long. But it could be a minor pullback. Could be like a $3 pullback and then go higher. So it just depends on what you want to do. I think we're going to 250 minimum. Either way, whichever count happens. Because Tesla is such a wild card too. You could have some kind of sideways move, and then all of a sudden one day it goes up 10%, and it's an impulse move all of a sudden. And that's kind of a little bit like this one, but not really. This was straight up. See the difference between this? This is straight up. Straight up. This one is kind of sideways. So the difference is that this is going to be an impulse. I was saying down here, I'm looking for at least 225, 230. Obviously, it went way higher, but I knew that an impulse is coming. Here, I'm not confident of an impulse. It looks like a sideways move. So again, it's probably more likely we finish at the high around in this area. NVDA is struggling, but it filled the last gap. I already have an ABC move potentially coming up here. If it breaks above 107.51, I'm favoring this being an ABC move. And honestly, I don't really care. I think this is good for a retracement back to at least like 117, this gap fill right here, or 125 gap fill. So either way, I think the video is probably going to retrace, but I also think that you're looking more downside. I think you're looking at this. Something like that. Potentially down here to 85, but maybe even lower than that. 78 is possible. So NVIDIA, look for a bounce out of here to at least 117. I'll be surprised if we get continuation to the downside based on everything else bouncing as well. And this being at the bottom of the daily standard deviations. But on the weekly, you can see here, this is overextended to the downside, or the upside, I mean. So on that bounce, we got back up here to 2 standard deviations. I'm looking for something down here between 78 and 85, probably in October, November, December, sometime around there. And then it's a buy the dip for sure. All right, the indexes, QQQ, again, down a little bit, being very, very stubborn for a bounce. Below the 20 and the 50. I still am leaning towards the upside. I said in the last video if it broke 460, I wouldn't be. But this still looks like it potentially is an ABC move. Hits the 1.61 fib. We just need this to go up here. If it does end up breaking to the downside, there is a bear count where this is 1, 2, we're in a third wave. It'd probably come down here to like 450 and then continue on down here farther. That would not be good. I'd be very surprised if it went all the way down here to 407 actually, for sure, because that's too big of a move. I am leaning towards upside here. So this can still be a fourth wave. It didn't cross into the first wave. It's a pretty deep fourth wave. But there's a gap up here at 496. So I'm still looking for a 496 gap fill. If you think about NVIDIA, if it retraces to 120, 125, that's like 10, 15%. Tesla goes to 245, that's another 10%. If Microsoft goes to 440, that's another basically 10%. It's down pre-market. So this might be a fourth wave here. But I think overall, this could go all the way down to 396 and be fine. Maybe low 400s. If it goes down to 396, yeah, it could be an impulse move as well. But I'm leaning towards this being a B wave. You can look at the daily standard deviations on this. We're at the very bottom still. It needs to come up here to the top so they can short again. So I'm looking for 440 to 445 on Microsoft. I bought into Symbiotic the last couple of days. My average is like 1850 or 1860. I bought at 20. I bought at 1815, and I bought at 1720. Could this be an impulse move? Yes, it could. It went past the 1.61 fib, but I feel comfortable enough with the fact that this is retraced to the 0.61 fib. It could go all the way down to the 0.78 fib at 1346, and I would not even care. The only time I'd probably stop out, well, I probably wouldn't stop out at that point at all. I'm probably just in this now because the fundamentals on this are pretty good overall. Less than a $2 billion market cap. It's profitable. Has a decent amount of cash. I think it has half cash of its market cap. Like overall, it's pretty good, and it's in weekly demand. Pretty good buy here. I don't know where it's gonna go from here. Could it just go to new highs? Yes. A, B, and C, or third wave up here, potentially to 110, 120. Pretty good buy overall. If we get this, then there's a possibility that it does this. Down to like 13 bucks. But I'm not going to worry about it that much. Pretty good entry in my opinion. This is only down like 50% in the last like month and a half. So I feel pretty good. They had pretty good earnings too. So Symbiotics, a pretty good buy. AMD looking for a retracement potentially up here to, I don't know, 174 might be too much. So this is kind of a weird one. We get potentially a third wave here, hits the 1.61 fib, and then this comes down here and invalidates a 5-wave move. Could this be? I say slim chance, because that would have to be a diagonal, and this would have to go up to like, it'd have to double from here pretty much to make a 5th wave. And I don't see that happening in this market right now, seasonality. So if this is going to go up, it's either going to pull a NVDA where it just retraces half of this and then heads down here farther, or potentially this and then heads down. I'm not bullish on AMD that much, even though they had some pretty good news yesterday. It's still below the 20 DMA here. So I'll be watching to see how it does. If it can get above the 50, then maybe we're heading up here to 174. But until then, I'll play this. Well, I'm not playing it anymore. I'm actually out of the stock now. But I'll be watching to see what happens. This could end up, we'll just see if it gets above the 50, I guess. Above the 50, it can run all the way up here to this supply zone at 172. Mara is not really going the way I thought it was going to go so far, but it can still be a C wave here. It looks like it's probably making its 5th wave right here. And you know what I noticed yesterday is this is a weekly demand zone right here that I did not have marked. And it's a very, very strong support. Look how many times it's hit in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it going to break it here? If it breaks it, then it comes right into monthly demand. So I'm still favoring a bounce up to here to like 19, 20 bucks and then down. But if it does come down here, then I'd be looking for 1150, and that'd be a buy there. Because after that, I'm still looking for that move up to 45 bucks. So Mara might be bearish right now, but I think overall it's going to be bullish soon. IWM was lagging. Let's see where it's at now. 213. I told you it topped out more than likely at 228. We got a second wave, and it looks to me like it is probably in the middle of a 4th wave. And they're probably going to see another move down. There's a gap fill down here at 208. So that could be a nested first wave, meaning we get something like this. It's going to have to really fall off the cliff, though, to hit my target, which is going to be 185 minimum. But the 1.61 fib of this is at 180. So this would be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and 180 right there. Bounce, and then another move lower. Some gaps down here. So I'm bearish on IWM. Said that many times. And SPY. Last one I'll go over for right now. I am bullish on SPY. Finished above the 20 and the 50 DMA. Corrective move from the top. This is an ABC move right here. Holding the 20 and the 50. Looks like a perfect setup for this to go like that. So overall, I'm leaning towards a bounce in the market. I'm leaning towards a bounce in NVIDIA. Tesla's obviously bouncing. Microsoft should be bouncing here soon. The rest of them I haven't looked at, but probably the rest of tech stocks bouncing as well. And I'm leaning towards SPY hitting 570, 575, QQQ potentially filling that gap at 496 makes a lot of sense. So I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. The VIX is above 20, or it was. Yeah, still at 20. So that's a perfect spot for the market to go higher. This could consolidate a little bit, potentially even come down here to 13. I'm not 100% sure though. There's probably a lot of fear in the market with the Fed coming up here in a few weeks, seasonality, all that stuff. So maybe it won't consolidate that much, and maybe I'll be wrong and it'll invalidate. But right now I am leaning bullish and setting my portfolio up for that. I do have some hedges to the downside, like QQQ puts. And that's pretty much all there is to say. Leaning bullish probably over the next couple of weeks. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and I'll try to keep you updated on the market. Good luck trading today.